Hey guys, today we're going to paint up this thing right here. We're going to do it all in real time so you guys get to watch me through the whole thing. Made a couple changes as it went along, such as life. But let's get it rolling into this thing. Lay a piece of scrap paper in underneath and use my magnets to block off about the lower third. Started out, I've got a light gray in my cup, and I'm going to come in here to get my cloud textures in. I'm going to block off. This is going to be my cloud section. I'm just going to lightly put in some misty looking strokes. Notice how I'm just being real shaky. And I have to be real gentle with this because this airbrush, you know, if I pull back on it, it's capable of putting out a lot of paint really quick. So if you guys, you know, which is one of the reasons I chose it. Well, one is because I was already going to use it for some color. And two, I already had it dirty because I used it to base in the background colors. So I will just come off of my little broken pieces of Scotch-Brite here. Spray off that edge, give me a nice highlight right there and make it look cloud-like textures very quickly, very easily. Varying the intensity, but like I said, I'm using a gray right now, so I've got room to highlight things in dramatically from here. It's just a little bit, but I just came in and blocked off a little section with my thing, made some clouds right here. And I will continue to add a little bit of randomness in the background and make sure there's a little bit of brighter there in the middle where the lightning strikes are going to come from. The biggest part of the storm is. We'll do a little bit of freehanding. Okay, now when it comes to bringing in the lightning, all right, so I'm going to have the lightning coming out just like in my reference. I'm going to have the lightning coming out right here. So I want this really bright spot, okay, but it's got to end on that. So, and then I'm just going to take and put a little bit of shadow. So this will exist in the background. We're going to cover a lot of that up. And of course, we're not going to be able to get our fine lines with it. Just find some spots, because the cloud behind the strikes, know where your strikes are going to be, because the clouds behind the strikes are going to be lit up a little bit more. Like across this edge, of course, we're going to come back in this and we're going to brighten it up more across this edge. You can tell this paint's a little bit thin. Okay, now I got this kind of darkish reddish orange mix. I had a little red, a little orange, and just a tiny hint of blue in there. Didn't get that mixed real good, so got a little bit too much of that purplish look. That's all right. We're gonna fix it. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to start getting some of that background color into everything. The thing about using a paint cup like this is you can really roll through the paint really fast. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You can get a lot of coverage really fast. Okay, now down on this bottom, what I want to do is try to simulate a little bit of water down here. So I'm going to put a little bit of violet in here. It's going to be very... Added a little bit of white to give that a little opacity. Just wasn't covering it all. Just a tiny bit. And I might have to come in here and add, you know, a little bit of stuff to it. So I want to just kind of simulate a reversal of my clouds below, and it doesn't have to be accurate really. I mean, within reason. This is why I taped it off earlier, because you leave that edge in there as long as we're really gentle with it. Remember, I'm just barely spraying on this. Really just use a little bit of that violet. Guide it from those edges. And we're going to use a little bit. Since it's a lighter violet, we're going to use it in some clouds over here. I'm not going to get real concerned about this being real accurate. We will work on that. Alright, so let's, got a little bit brighter white in here, and we are going to work on these clouds a little bit. Put a little bit more definition in them. Lighten it up a little bit. Little circles. Yeah, we're going to touch off that edge. Because that's the top of the cloud. That's where you want a nice crispness. Some of that grayish tone from that cloud coming in there. Now, where we want the really bright lightning strike coming off of that cloud. Then this cloud, this is how you get cloud is protruding over that, so you want it to, you know, break sharply. Probably more. Need a more round or more goofy edge here. Now this background that we got here is not your lightning yet. It's just what's hitting, what is going to be where the reflection is coming off of your cloud. We'll add a little bit more textures to our clouds as we go. We're going to still put more color in here, so don't worry about that it's not quite looking just right yet. Now, I'm going to have lightning coming down there. And I'm going to have lightning coming around there. So we're going to put these large strokes in. We want them to be big. Remember, it's going to be reflections. We're still going to thin our paint out and get to where we can put some fine lines in here in a minute. But for now, we're just putting, we want coverage. We want it to coat in here really well. So I got this paint a little bit thick. It's not flowing the best, but that's all right. Put some haze around these lines. Remember, these are big lines. They're not close to lightning strikes yet. That's where our lightning strikes are going to be. So we've defined where they're going to be, but we have not defined any strikes whatsoever. And then we're going to blend out from there. Then down here, we're going to have a little bit of haze from reflections from that. Same. Just trying to get a general feel for the same look as we had above, the lightning striking down there. Alright, now I'm going to take yellow and hit on these brightest spots. Use a little yellow down here too. Some of that's going to go away. We're going to go into yellow here. And then we're going to move to orange. The way I laid that yellow, it looks a little pretty sloppy, but that's okay. Now we're going to bring that orange into there. Without completely eliminating those yellow tones. Bring these orange tones in down here in your brighter spots. Might be a better choice to use like an umber or a burnt sienna, actually. We're going to add a little bit of red just to make myself happy. I think it needs to be a little redder, a little angrier guy. Be a little streaky with that red. It'll just add a little more texture to everything. Just be careful not to come in and completely saturate it. Alright, now I got this really pale yellow, which probably going to look light white to you guys. And I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm gonna be a little shaky, so I'm just kind of emphasizing the edges of those clouds. And then where my lightning goes into the cloud right here, and then it's coming back out of the cloud here. I want that to flare out a lot, because you get a lot of light where it comes through. And then my lightning's going to come down. I'm being real gentle right now because I'm not hitting my tight lightning strikes. I'm going to put a few in, but not my tightest line, or not my final line yet. I'm going to still go over this. I want to be real shaky with these lines. So remember the spots I was putting in before. So anywhere where lots of light points meet, you want to kind of flare out. And you have one disappear behind the clouds right there. That's how you do that. And then you just kind of create a little. Get these really crooked, shaky pattern. Don't want anything real straight on this. And this little pale yellow, we'll use it a little bit down here again. And we're gonna those lightning strikes would be that are reflected in the water will be a little bit, deformed, shaped differently. And I'm gonna go ahead, while I got this pale yellow in here, I want a little more to my storm cloud. Remember, all this stuff like this, you really can't mess it up. All you gotta do, if you're not happy with something, you'll be able to erase it out. We're gonna add a little more color to this, and I'll bring in some darker grays back there because I think that's just standing out a little bit too bold. I'm gonna come over my lines here a little bit. Want a little bit more glow action. I'm gonna come over this whole thing with some transparent burnt sienna. I don't really want I'm just gonna tone some of that in. That's kind of the color I'm going for in this particular case. We're going to get some dark gray out. and do a little bit more work on the top clouds. Alright, so I've gotten a little bit of sepia in my cup now. And I am going to add a little darkness. A little bit of darkness back into my clouds. A little sharp edge. Gives it those meaner look to them clouds. A little bit of randomness in here. Remember, I got these dark clouds here, so light wouldn't pass through, so we got to kind of simulate that same look going down there. Alright, congratulations. Now we can finally get into putting our actual lightning strikes, our fine lightning strikes. So I'll come in with some white. I got it fairly opaque, and I might have to adjust it a little bit. And then just come in here, work slow. If you work slow, you're automatically going to have a little bit of shakiness going on. So to get that really opaque coverage, you know, to get fine lines, you can't get fine lines and super opaque coverage in the same batch. I mean, I am in this case. This is straight Createx illustration. Everything up to this point's been wicked because I wanted to be able to get some fine lines in here. Notice I'm not going to just come in here and go crazy and flood fill. Now also, and I'm going to be real shaky, also occasionally pulling out, getting outside of your line like that, and then coming back in will give you a much more natural appearance. Chasing yourself inside your lightning strikes, and then occasionally pulling yourself outside of that. In random places, like where these two lines meet here, the light should be a little bit brighter. So Add a little bit of extra, blend that out just a little bit there for that strike. Up in here, it would light up these clouds a little bit more, so do a little bit of extra right there, give you that really bright, brilliant look. Now we're going to have this one coming from above, and in this particular case, I've got it going down and then into. We'll light that up just a little bit more than what it is. So it's going into the cloud and then disappearing. The shakier you get that, the better it is. It's one of them, you know, hey, don't try. See, hitting that just a little bit right where it's coming out of that cloud. Don't try to get straight lines. You don't need straight lines. And I might just embellish my clouds a little bit here. That starts looking pretty good right there, I think. You can play with things. And maybe come into this cloud line just a little bit. I think I want it to. And if that gets a little off in color, you can just always go back in and tune it back in with your yellows or your oranges. Or let it get a little bit furrier, or not furrier. There you go. Want it just a little bit more. And I want to come back in and hit that line again in the inside. Where all them strikes started coming together, it got really bright. Just simulating that, or simulating what I think that would do. And we're gonna there we go, because those wouldn't be near as bright. Just kind of giving little hints. Okay, and now we put in our little tree section right here. I'm going to take a little stencil, use that, come off the edge just a little bit. A little bit of texture and then blend it out some freehand to make up the rest. Color in here, I'm just touching up a few things here and there. If you have any questions, make sure you ask them down below, and I'm going to also drop some links down in the description and possibly in the comments and, you know, the material I used today. But that's going to be it. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, that's going to be it. Y'all have a good one. We appreciate you.